over and
You
over
like
and
to
over
play
again.
wet, pathetic, gay necromancers.
Why are you pitting me to a cork word? I was supposed to be pitting you right now. This feels wholly unfair. How did you turn the table so swiftly?
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Misshelved, your bi-weekly dose of bookstore love. If you are listening, this is the last episode of season 4 and our last episode of the podcast. We are entering an indefinite hiatus, so the
No,
podcast...
God, why? Why?
And that was a little sneak peek into our author for today. But our bookseller in conversation today is me, your host, Nicole Brinkley. So, when I first conceptualized this podcast during the pandemic, before I recorded any episodes, I wanted to test it out. And there was nobody I wanted to test it out more with than one of my best friends, who happens to be author Ashley Poston. Ashley is the New York Times bestselling author of The Dead Romantics, which, if you go back, we released the test episode that I did with Ashley. And back then, The Dead Romantics had not come out yet. It was just a thought on the horizon. And now it is out in the world, and many people have loved it. Ash has also written a lot of other books and done some other cool stuff.
What? No, I haven't. What are you talking about?
But she is going to be talking to me today to wrap up the podcast. I don't know what we're going to be talking about, and that concerns me.
Oh, you should be very concerned. Your instincts are correct here. You have done this fantastic podcast ever since the start of the pandemic, and you have let booksellers interview their favorite authors throughout this entire run of this podcast. And so now it's a great time to finally interview you.
Oh, we're flipping the
Because
tables? I hate that.
the tables have been flipped like WWE style, just whoosh. So I am going to ask you a lot of questions. And I hope you're ready for it. I hope you're ready to rumble.
I don't think I've ever been less ready for something in my life, but considering the amount of booksellers who have now had to be affectionately interviewed by their favorite authors, starting with Kathy Berner and Mac Barnett in the very first episode, all the way to the wonderful guests we have had this season, I suppose it is my turn in the hot seat, and at least it's not hot ones and I don't have to eat hot wings while we do it, so lay it on me. Let's go.
So we've known each other for a very, very, very long time. For close to 6 years now?
Yeah, very, very, very long time makes it sound like we were childhood friends, and it does feel that way sometimes. But you and I met at a children's winter institute.
Yeah, it was the Winter Institute before Geekarella came out. So in 2017.
And I think that might have been my first Winter Institute. So Winter Institute is a conference thrown by the American Booksellers Association every year where a bunch of booksellers go and a bunch of authors are sent. And you and I had been talking very briefly on Twitter back when I used Twitter and when Twitter was a thing we enjoyed using.
Was that ever the case? I can't remember.
There must have been. There must have been a reason I used it for almost a decade. But and then we ended up meeting up in person, and it just immediately slipped into the habits of people who have been friends for a very long time.
Yes, I think we kind of bonded over Markiplier.
Yeah, you and I got really tired and ran off to a hotel room with another author and just ended up binging YouTube gaming videos for 2 hours to decompress.
Which is just very on brand for us because I have a really bad anxiety disorder, and I know that you are very anxious a lot too, so...
I hide it well for somebody who does a lot of public speaking because that's one of the things that doesn't make me nervous. But yeah, we had both been peopled out at that point.
We did, and it's been a beautiful friendship ever since. And so now I get to torture you,
As all good friends do.
as all good friends do. So, first heavy hitting question. What's your favorite book of the year?
Ooh, for 2022, there were a few, like, late-minute entries to, like, my favorites, but 2022, my favorite book of the year is definitely We Deserve Monuments by Jas Hammonds. So this is an Indies Introduced title. If you don't know what Indies Introduced is, basically every 6 months, a panel of booksellers looks at all of the debut novels coming out in either the first half of the year or the second half of the year. And they look and they go, these 10 are the best ones in kids and the 10 best ones in adults. This year, I sat on the panel for the kids ones, along with a whole slew of other incredible booksellers, including both Melissa Fox and Cassie King, who you will all have listened to at this point on the podcast. And we read 65 debut kids' books that were coming out, which is a lot of books to read.
65.
Yeah.
That is that is enough for you to qualify for AARP. Like that is a lot of books.
It's a lot of reading, and we only had, like, 3 or 4 months to do it. It was bananas, but it was one of the most fun experiences I've had, was just hopping on a Zoom call every 2 weeks with all of these booksellers and chatting about what we had started reading, what we really liked, what we didn't like, and parsing through to find, like, of all of these books, the cream of the crop. And We Deserve Monuments was one of the first books I sampled. And I immediately knew it was something special, and then being able to finish reading it and everybody agreeing with me, because of course they did. So it was one of the first books that we knew was gonna make the top 10 for Indies Introduced. It has
That
since
is
come out. It only came out as of the time of recording, like, 2 weeks ago, and we got to do the digital launch for it over at my bookstore, Oblong Books, and it is just fantastic. It is about a young biracial Black woman who returns to her ailing grandmother's house in Georgia and starts to kind of unpack the family history that lies in this small town. Hear me out. It is simultaneously a sapphic love story, a
mhm.
quintessential coming of age, and an intergenerational murder mystery. It is all three of these things at once, and it does it perfectly.
I did not realize it was a murder mystery.
Yeah, it is an intergenerational murder mystery woven in with a quintessential coming of age story that allies itself with this beautiful sapphic next door neighbor's love story. And it is just out of this water good. Like, it does not read like a debut novel. Jas is incredible, and I can't wait to read their future books because they are clearly such a talent. And I cannot recommend you read this enough.
Okay, that just got bumped up really high on my list after all of the books I have to blurb, which we're not going to talk about.
Are you sure? Because I imagine, based on the last time I came to visit, it's still quite a few.
It's fine. It's fine, Nicole. We are fine. We are getting there. Just maybe a tiny bit late. It's fine. It's fine. Unlike you, Nicole, I am a very slow reader. So just like thinking about 65 books in just what, 3 or 4 months? No, I can't. No. I mean, unless it's like a manga.
I will say that luckily we didn't have to read all of each book. So everybody pretty much had to sample the first 50 pages. And from that, you're able to kind of skew really quickly what ones people are vibing with more than others. So then it was like I read 20 or 30 total books, but had sampled about 50 pages of almost all of them.
Oh, that's so nice. Like, I wish more people would embrace like the DNFing, but like not in a malicious way, but just like not my vibe right now, sort of way.
I DNF things all the time, and it's not because they're bad books. It's partly because A, I'm a huge mood reader, and sometimes I'm just not in the mood for things. But
Oh,
also
same.
B, some books just aren't for me, and that's okay. Like, it doesn't make them bad. I'm just not their target reader, and that's okay. If every book was written for me, a lot of other people in the world would be really bored right now because they'd have nothing to read.
I mean, same. Me and you, we have kind of the same like reading vibe going on. Anything that you love, I usually super love it as well. But yeah, like I really think that if you don't enjoy like the first 50 or 100 pages of a book, you should just set it down. It's not because the book is bad or anything. Usually it's not. It's just not written for you. And I think more people are mood readers than they will readily admit, because I mean, like your emotions affect how you read a book, when you read a book, like how you go into a book, how you interpret the words on the page. There's just like so much to it.
And so much of my job as a bookseller is just figuring out there's a huge difference between what people think they want and what they actually want.
Mhm.
So when people come in and they're looking for book recommendations, it's not just about finding verbatim the thing they're looking for. Like, you have to suss out their mood and the tone they want. And all of those things line up to the experience you're having with a book. I love Gideon the Ninth, but there are some moods that if I tried to read Gideon the Ninth, I would have hated it just because I wasn't in the mood for a book that voicey or that weird. And that's okay. Just because somebody doesn't like a book or it's not for them doesn't make it a bad book.
Yeah, that's very, very true. It doesn't make it a bad book. It just means it's like not the book for you at that moment. Well, speaking of DNFing is something that you end up like learning as you read more and more, and you like learn what kind of tropes you like, what kind of characters you like. What is Nicole Brinkley's favorite tropes and favorite types of characters?
Oh, what a good question. I don't know. I read, like, really broadly. My reading ranges from kids' books to adult books, all the way from picture books to adult nonfiction. I read memoirs, and I read literary fiction, and I read fantasy novels, and I read contemporary novels. I read a lot of everything, but it does mean that I tend not to look for specific tropes so much as specific, like, tones and voice. Like, you and I have talked at length about how I can't read things in third person present,
It kills me every single time because that's like the fan fiction OG, man.
and it's a real struggle for me. So those tend to be the things I look for first, but there are some tropes I really love. One of them is like a romance/fantasy novel trope. You and I have talked about this a lot. I refer to it as King and Lionheart. It is when there is, like, a member of a royal or prestigious family and the person who is set to guard them, and they end up in a romantic relationship. It's so
Oh.
yummy. The older I get, and I'm not even sure the older I get, because I think I was just denying it to myself for many years because of the kind of Puritan way, especially on social media, that we talk about books. But I love reading about messy relationships. So that sort of like messy power dynamic of like, I'm your boss, but you are protecting my life, and we're not supposed to be doing this is just incredibly tasty. So that's one of my favorites for, like, romance and ships,
It's a very, very good choice.
right? I'm not sure what, like, I know there's like, I love a pirate, I love a girl with a god in her head. I play a lot of those in tabletop games. Yeah. I also like, I do love other tropes, like, I love found family. Like, I love a lot of tropes, but there are very few that I hold as, like, I will read anything with that book because I am so picky about all the other things of the tense and the writing style and all of that. Can you tell us some of your favorite tropes, Ash? Because I know you have a bunch.
Oh boy. Well, one of them is obviously like a pathetic man. I love that. He doesn't make a great romantic hero, but someday I'm going to write a really pathetic man and everyone's going to love him. Um, but I also really like the really like sort of like kitschy tropes. Like I really like, oh, we're snowed in and there's only one bed. What are we going to do? I like the sacrifice your gays, but then love brings them back trope,
Mhm.
which is very controversial because sacrifice your gays, but love brings them back. So, I am always in for a good, like, necromantic relationship. It's fine.
Another common thread in Ashley's D&D characters.
Another common thread. I have a few that I just go to over and
You
over and
like to
over
play
again.
wet, pathetic, gay necromancers.
Uh, why are you pinning me to a corkboard. I'm supposed to be pinning you right now. This feels wholly unfair. How did you turn the table so swiftly?
Well, I mean, I have encouraged every episode of this podcast not just to be an interview, but to be a conversation. So I'm just throwing your own questions back at you and then calling you out on the truth that I know exists.
I enjoy it. So, we talked about your favorite books of 2022. Are there any books coming out in 2023 that you're super excited for besides the 3 that are coming out from me?
I am very excited for everybody else to read your next romance novel, which I've now seen several versions of, and they've been excellent every time. So I'm very stoked to see the final version.
Thank you.
So there are a bunch of books that I'm excited about coming out next year. I'm not going to talk about all of them now because, Ash, I think you know this, but the rest of the world doesn't yet. I am now reviewing children's books for BookPage. So if you want my thoughts on some upcoming books, you will just simply have to read those reviews when they come out.
And they're going to all be delightful.
They actually are. One of the reasons I really wanted to write for BookPage, which is a publication that just reviews books across the spectrum and does occasional interviews and stuff. You will find them if you're in the South at your local Books A Million, and they are also sent booksellers in our ABA white box every month. Is that BookPage only focuses on books that they like. They are not interested in doing negative reviews, and that's one of the reasons I was drawn to them. I think negative reviews are often used way too much to just drum up attention, when really, a book just might not have been for that reader, or probably wasn't as problematic as people thought. So if you want to see books I am loving in 2023, especially kids books, keep an eye out on BookPage. But one of the books I am really excited about coming out next year, besides yours, is when I was a child, I read a lot of horse books. I was not the horse girl at our school because there was another girl that was more into horses than me. I didn't ride horses until I was a teenager, and she was riding very young, so it makes sense. I was the book girl. But one of the series I read was a...
Wait. Pause. You rode horses?
Have we not talked about this? Yeah,
no!
Yeah, I took horseback riding lessons for several years as a teenager, so I am trained to jump and race and do trail rides and all of that. The only reason I didn't keep doing it was I got good enough at a level to compete, but I was from a single parent household and we were kind of poor, so I didn't have the money for that. So I just kind of stopped.
Oh my gosh, how come every single friend I know who has chronic pain was also a horse rider? There has to be some kind of...
I will tell you there's definitely a correlation there, but we won't get into it. To be fair, I had chronic pain before I started horseback riding. So
the horse was just the fun little extra bit.
The horse was just also there. I love horses. I will do anything with animals that I can possibly do. So horseback riding was a must for me. But so way back before I ever rode horses, when I was a wee child reading chapter books, one of the books I read was the Phantom Stallion series by Terry Farley. Now, you are also a Terry Farley fan, which I found out the last time I visited your house and got to see all your books on your childhood bedroom bookshelf.
Uh-huh.
You liked a very different Terry Farley book than I do.
Oh, I did, yes. Very different.
So you were reading, if I remember correctly, a Terry Farley book about a mermaid?
Oh yeah. It was 7 Tears into the Sea. One of my absolute favorite Selkie books. When I was a teenager, it was the one that I kept rereading over and over and over and over again.
Oh, Selkie, not mermaid. See, I haven't read that one, which I know is the one that most people of hers have read. I read the Phantom Stallion series, which was a chapter book series about a girl who returns to her family's ranch after having been gone for several years, and her horse has up and left, but she becomes fascinated with this Mustang who is running around the plains that has been dubbed the Phantom Stallion. I read this whole series obsessively when I was little. That and the Thoroughbred series, which I'm forever bitter is out of print now.
I'm guessing the horse wasn't a ghost. It was an actual horse.
It was a real horse all along. For those of you who have read Writing Lessons by Sarah Gruen, Phantom Stallion is just the non-romantic kids version of Writing Lessons. It's a great series. Anyway, Terry has modernized it and repackaged it, and it's coming out again next year. And as somebody who recently rebrought the Molly Moon's Incredible Book of Hypnotism series into her store, because I was obsessed with that as a child, being able to bring a new edition of Phantom Stallion to all the little horse girls in my bookstore, it hasn't even happened yet, and it fills me with so much joy.
Oh my gosh, that is so exciting. I also love the idea of updating books for like the current market and for current readers because I mean, I don't know if you know this, but like music does it all the time. That's why older
Mm.
TikTok songs are like getting new life again, is because they just slap a new remix on it, but it's the exact same song. Right.
Yeah.
So I don't see why we can't do that with books as well. Yes, there are retellings, but that's like, sampling a track from like a song. It's not an actual remix. So I do like the idea of updating older novels to fit like current markets and current trends and like, the current technological world of it all.
Yeah, like for Phantom Stallion, it's not that large a leap because like it's easy to be like, okay, they're on a ranch that doesn't get good Wi-Fi or whatever. Like the leap isn't as far as for something as say Molly Moon's Incredible Book of Hypnotism. So Molly Moon was published in 2002, and it is about a girl who gets a book out of the library and discovers that it's a book of hypnotism and uses it to start hypnotizing people through the television. Whoa! A radical
Whoa.
concept. And if we tried to modernize that now, it would be impossible. It'd have to be like through social media. It would change the entire dynamic of the book. But what I did when I brought it back in is I branded it as historical fantasy. So like in my little shelf talker, it says like this takes place in 2002 and kids are like, "Wow, 2002.
Oh my God.
It was 20 years ago. They weren't alive.
Oh
They
my
don't know."
God. No, Nicole.
I know you feel old now, I'm sorry.
No, I don't feel old. I feel like I felt when I was first reading the Everworld books by K.A. Applegate because
Mhm.
they take place in the mid 90s, kind of like her Animorph series,
Mm.
which is a lot more popular. But I was drawn to the Everworld series, one, because they came out before Percy Jackson, and it's literally the exact same concept, just without the camp. They just go into this other world type place where there's all these gods and they are all kind of like warring with each other, but gods from like mythology, right? So I was like really, really, really into that series because like it felt kind of like historical fantasy esque because they were talking about things that like were kind of outdated already.
And so, like, there are ways that you can take older books and give them new life, and, like, we see that all the time with, like, cover redesigns and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
that doesn't always do enough, especially with kids' books, to reframe it for a modern market, but reframing it to be like, "Hey, this is in 2002, you don't remember that," is way more fun than just letting that book kind of slide into oblivion for me because it still is so much fun, and if you approach it with that mindset of, this takes place in 2002 where everything was different. There was no social media yet. It really, like, gets kids interested, and that's something I love. So, I'm excited to have, like, an actual proper repackaged Phantom Stallion, but I'm also excited to keep hand selling some older books in a new way.
That is so exciting, and I am just constantly in awe with like how you and other booksellers just keep on like keeping our careers as authors alive basically even after we move on and write new books, and like the saying always is frontlist sells backlist, like, which is kind of true, but you know what actually sells backlist? Booksellers.
It's true. We talk about this at my store all the time. So, if you look at, like, statistically, the front list books that are selling now tend to be the same set of authors. Front list sells bigger than ever, but it's also the same number of people. It's harder to break into that in terms of like a big show stopping way.
Hmm.
But where you will find diversity of books, both in terms of like new books that are interesting, but also really interesting backlist is bookstores. So my bookstore, Oblong Books, focuses not just on new books, but on backlist. We talk all the time at staff meetings about like what backlist we are loving and what haven't we had in the store for a while that we want to bring back that we think will sell. And those are some of the biggest selling books for us. I cannot tell you the number of This Is How You Lose the Time War that I've sold, and I didn't read that book until it was out in paperback. I still sell Business Pig like it is my job. I will never stop selling Business Pig. It is a beautiful picture book about a pig who is a business pig. I won't say anything else. Just look it up and then read it and then buy it and then become obsessed with it. It's a perfect book.
It's so quirky.
It's so perfect. I love it so much. But that is where, like, if I go to another bookstore, I'm not looking for new books. I'm looking for whatever weird backlist only people at that store like. And then I'm taking that home and I'm reading it. And then I'm putting it in my store. And then 10, 15, 100 people are going to see that book and pick it up. And that's just really like how the quiet back end ecosystem of book selling and author life works. It's not all just about those first week sales, as important as they are. Anytime you
Mhm.
can support an author, it's helpful. And if you can support them through an independent bookstore where they are more likely to continue to be supported, it is even better.
Exactly. And I mean, I know you know this already, but for my Geekarella series, it didn't sell a lot the first few weeks, right? I mean, it sold like enough, but it sold most like throughout a long period of time as more booksellers started to talk about it and as it started to like sort of feed throughout the ecosystem. So yeah, like I'm not always like for the first few weeks of sales. Like the Dead Romantics didn't hit the New York Times list until the fourth or fifth week.
I thought it was the third week, but maybe I'm misremembering because my sense of time in the year 2022 is completely gone.
It was the fourth week, I think. Yeah, it took an entire month because people were like hearing about it, and like booksellers were like, oh yeah, we're gonna put this on our shelves and all that. And now that I see the numbers, that's where the bulk of my sales came from, was from independent bookstores and Barnes and Noble.
Because physical bookstores are so important. And like, look, I need Barnes and Noble to survive just from like an economic standpoint. Whatever they're doing, they gotta like up their game. But the support you can get from independent booksellers, both as an author and for an individual book, it's I've yet to see any other industry or any other experience within publishing that can kind of replicate it. And it's
Mhm.
just, even not being an author, just being like a bookseller and being friends with an author, it's so much fun to watch that kind of organically pop up and people get so excited. It's great.
I'm in a bunch of like author discords and stuff, and there's this big discussion about like algorithms and how to get the most views on TikTok, and like that's how a lot of readers now find out what to read next. But like I've always found that the best way to find my next favorite book is not through a TikTok algorithm or being fed something that's popular. It's going to a bookseller who knows my tastes and being, hey, what do you think I'm going to like next? And I've always found my most favorite books that way.
And that's not to say, like, there are so many good booksellers on TikTok, but the reason they're good isn't because of the algorithm. It's because they're good booksellers. It's because they read
Exactly.
widely and they know what they're talking about. If you order from Oblong, we send a little thank you card with every purchase. And it
And they wrap
explains.
the books individually. It's so adorable. Sorry.
We do. So if you order a book from Oblong Books, what happens is a real bookseller who is standing in the bookstore gets your order and they send you a handwritten message back telling you that we got your order and that we will ship it to you. And then we go and we get the books and we hand wrap every single book so that it doesn't get damaged in the mail. And then
It's lovely.
we put them all together in a little package and we include a bookmark, but we also include a postcard. And that postcard says, "Hey, here's all the things you did by shopping at an independent bookstore. Like, you made sure more money was kept in a local ecosystem. You did this, you did that." But on the very front, under our little thank you spot, um, it has a little catchphrase that we kind of started using unofficially during the pandemic that I coined and kind of stuck around, which is "real booksellers, no algorithms." There's nothing wrong inherently with an algorithm, but it will just start churning the same things out to you over and over again. If you
Mhm.
want something different or something new or something exciting, you're not necessarily going to find it on Instagram or on Twitter or on TikTok, which is, whether we like it or not, becoming more commodified by publishers, or just now showing you the same 10 or 15 books over and over again unless you work really hard to break that cycle.
Yeah, and, like, most of the time, those, like, 10 or 15 books are by white straight authors, but we're not gonna get into that
We
part.
That's a whole other conversation, and don't worry, I'm working on an essay. But
Ooh, good.
but you will find your next great read by talking with other readers, and there are no readers who are more passionate about what they do than independent booksellers. Nobody becomes an independent bookseller because they wanna make millions of dollars or because they want an easy job. They become booksellers because they love books.
Which is such a testament to booksellers across the board because, like, y'all go through so much, deal with so much, and you also, like, at some bookstores don't have the support that you need, and it's just y'all are the backbone of this entire industry.
I am really lucky to work at a bookstore that really takes care of its booksellers. All of our booksellers earn a living wage. We have a transparent pay scale. We're working on healthcare. Like, we have other different benefits as well. Susanna and Dick, who own Oblong Books, really do put their heart and soul into making sure that above being a good bookstore, that they are good employers for their booksellers. That's something that's very important to them. And not every frontline bookseller has that. I doing this podcast have gotten the chance to spotlight some of my favorite bookstore owners and booksellers, but that doesn't mean that like every bookseller has the same experience. And I know a lot of folks who are underpaid and who don't necessarily have the most supportive bosses, but they still try their hardest because they are so passionate about what they do. And I will, for as long as I am in this industry, which will hopefully be forever, continue to aggressively champion that they should be making living wages and they should be getting everything that they need to do a good job. Because the best thing for a good bookstore to have is good
Mhm.
booksellers. Because if you don't have that, you're not really a good bookstore.
That is so true. Like, you can see the difference between, like, some Barnes and Noble stores and an independent bookstore. Like, they're all trying their best, but it's just a different atmosphere.
It's a different atmosphere. Like, I talk about this a lot, that there are some really good Barnes& and Noble booksellers. You and I are both friends with Mike Lasagna, who is like a
That's
stellar
amazing.
example of what a good Barnes& and Noble bookseller can be. But Barnes& and Noble, for the most part, hires cashiers. They don't hire booksellers. So there might be a couple booksellers on staff, but for Barnes& and Noble, for a staff of 20 people, there's maybe 2 who are actually big readers. At an independent bookstore, everybody is a big reader. Everybody cares. Everybody wants to know what the good books are. So yeah, like, please keep supporting Barnes and Noble over Amazon if you have to make that choice. But indies are top tier.
It goes Indies at the top of the pyramid, and then Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, the other chain. Oh, I would say Walden, but R.I.P. Walden. Waterstones, and
Yeah.
then it's Amazon.
Can we talk about Walden Books for a second?
Oh, please.
I miss Walden Books so much. There was the memory I have of finding Molly Moon's incredible book of hypnotism at the library. And then there's the memory I have of in my local mall, there was a Walden Books. And I remember every time we would go, I would go in, and I was a little too old to be reading the Secrets of Droon series by Tony Abbott, but I wanted to keep up with the series. So I would always go in and read a full Secrets of Droon chapter book because it only took me like 20 minutes every single time I went to the mall. And I miss Walden Books so much.
Oh my gosh. I think you just unlocked a core memory for me because I remember going into my local Walden at my mall and going straight to the manga section because Walden had the best manga section at the time. And I just remember, like, just sitting there in, like, the little alcove and just reading D and Angel and Fruits Baskets as it was coming out and Subasa. Oh my gosh. Wow. I am being catapulted back.
I know there are a few
Oh.
Barnes& and Nobles that have locations in, malls, but it's not the same as a Walden Books, and I think
Mm-mm.
here's my hot take of this podcast. I think we started to lose mall culture when Walden Books closed,
Can
because do you agree with this?
I absolutely agree with this.
Yes. So, statistically, if a town or, like, a street has an independent bookstore, this is like a stat that has actually been proven by the American Booksellers Association. You can head to the IndieBound website and find it. If an independent bookstore is on a main street or in a small town, the businesses surrounding it are more likely to generate income and make money, even if that bookstore is not profitable, than if the bookstore was not there.
Wow.
So I think when malls lost Walden Books, even if Walden Books wasn't making money, it then lost a reason people were going to the mall, which made malls eventually decline. This is I can't prove it, but this is my new hot take.
I mean, it makes sense because like once Walden closed, I stopped going to that mall unless I really had to, because like that was the only reason I went, was to go and like find the manga that I was collecting and then read like the newest Shonen Jump. Oh my gosh, I am just getting so many flashbacks right now.
And even then, even if you weren't going to buy something at the bookstore, one, you probably browsed it. Two, it's probably a good place to sit around for a little while and chat. But also, three, it changes the community feel of something. Like a bookstore automatically gives things like a cozier energy. You get rid of that, and a mall is just like, it's fine. There's an Auntie Anne's pretzel there. I will go just to my local mall for the Auntie Anne's. But, like, it's not really a
Auntie Anne's
place
is
you're gonna hang
amazing.
out anymore, especially in, like,
No.
2022 when, like, you probably have to have an adult or you get kicked out and all of this stuff. But
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that's
give credit to
true.
Walden Books. They were the only reason malls were cool after the '80s, and they're the reasons malls are mostly gone now.
Yeah, I will co-sign that because I will 100% agree with that statement, because it feels right. It feels right. And you know what else feels right? This next question.
I'm afraid of this topic transition.
It's a really good transition. I have been trying to figure out how to transition for the last 5 minutes. So
I'm scared. Lay it on me.
over the course of this podcast, what have you learned that you are going to take with you to whatever endeavors you do next? Whether it be your reviews at Book Page, whatever things you have up your sleeve next, like what are you going to take with you from this experience?
Well, the first thing I'm gonna take with me is that I am still as susceptible to being sold books by a bookseller as much as any other person. The the number of times that I'm sitting listening to a recording and I have to start writing down the titles that people are saying because now I'm excited and I want to read them. I am not immune to propaganda.
But it's good propaganda.
Book propaganda is the only propaganda I care about. That's the first thing. The second, and part of the reason I'm ending the podcast, is that the work we do is valuable and we have to take care of ourselves as booksellers. So I am somebody who, like, my entire life has had to have a million fires going at any time. Partly because I am who I am as a person and I
Mhm.
have a million ideas and I want to do all of them. But also partly because, like, very early on in my career, I at that point was not making enough money to live on my own yet. So I was trying to like do freelance work and do all this other stuff. And so I was used to juggling lots of balls and I wanted to keep doing that.
Balls. Sorry. I'm sorry. I just ruined this really great, eloquent, like, I'm so
No.
sorry.
No, we're leaving all of this in. Um So I do a lot of stuff because I had to. And I'm now at a point, thanks to, again, really good bosses, some other opportunities that have come up, stuff like Book Page, and some other work I do that, like, I sit on the advisory councils of both the American Booksellers Association and the Children's Division of the American Booksellers
Mhm.
Association. Like, I do
Mhm.
a bunch of other stuff besides work in this podcast. I don't have to be doing all of that anymore. And that is a weird thing to come to terms with because both my entire life, but also as a profession, we kind of are expected to do everything all the time. Booksellers don't, and this is a radical thing that most people don't realize. Booksellers don't have time to read at their bookstore. The reading they are doing is extracurricular. It is work
Mhm.
we do because we love it that we don't necessarily get paid for. Anytime you see an advanced reader's copy of a book that has a bookseller blurb, they have read that off the clock. They do it because
Yep.
they love it. I do it because I love it. It's one of my favorite parts of my job. But we stretch ourselves thin, and I'm really lucky that I have the support to be able to not do that anymore. And I have to not do that anymore. Ash, as you know, I am under the medical instructions of 2 different doctors and 1 therapist to, and I quote, relax.
Yeah, so I think this is like the perfect segue to talk about burnout because it sounds like it sounds a lot like you are talking about burnout.
I am a little bit. So, part of the reason I'm under medical supervision is because I've also have a chronic pain disorder. I've had that since I was 13. And I was getting a handle on it until like, I don't know, March 2020, when the weirdest thing happened and I like stopped doing all of my good habits. I don't know what that
What
could have been,
we
but
do,
part of
it
it
is a
is
great
as
name,
well
Nicole.
burnout.
Mhm.
Again, I'm going to keep hammering home. I have great bosses. The other day I walked up to one of my bosses and I was explaining to him that like my doctors told me I needed to relax and he looked up at me and was just like, "Yeah, you do."
Mhm.
I'm really lucky that I have a staff that has been very supportive of me like if I need to go home early to take care of my back over the past month because I threw it out like crazy in November. Um doing whatever I need to do to slow down and take care of myself. My coworker JJ constantly teases me that I need to work smarter, not harder. But working harder is generally what I've always done. And I know for a lot of the booksellers, both who haven't been on this podcast and who have, that we are in an industry that is constantly throwing everything we can as hard as we can,
Mhm.
if we can.
And
There's
like
a
it's
term.
asking so much from you all the time, and
Yeah.
you are more than willing to give it, which like when I'm talking about burnout, I don't mean it in a negative way. I just mean that like there's only so far you can stretch before you tear a muscle.
In my case, very literally. But but for those of you who don't look at our show notes, in all the show notes, I include a link to my newsletter, which is also called Misshelved. And in one of the very first newsletters I ever wrote, I talked about how booksellers are susceptible to vocational awe. So, vocational awe is a coin termed for use in libraries where, because we are working with books, we hold it up as like almost a holy thing to be doing. We're working with books, we're doing a good community service, we're doing all of this. So, we should be working harder, we should be working for less pay. There's these insidious thoughts as a community that creep in because we, as a community, so love what we're doing.
Mhm.
And it's not true. Like, yes, book selling and independent bookstores are radical and they are cool and they matter so much to the communities we're in. And also, it is retail and it is hard and we have to take care of ourselves.
Mhm.
And so often we are not in a position to do that. I am lucky that I am. It is one of the reasons I am stepping back from this podcast as much as I have loved it because I have stretched myself too thin across too many things. And I've realized that this is something that not just because I've been able to uplift a lot of other booksellers, but because a lot of other bookstores have started podcasts. There's been a lot of other booksellers who have talked about wanting to do podcasts that I can step back and let them shine as I take a moment to rest a little bit or just read more books. I'm really behind.
You and me both. You know, I am very sad to see this podcast go on an indefinite hiatus,
I
but
refuse to like officially say it's over because I'm like, what if in 2 years I want to start it again? So we're just calling it an indefinite hiatus until like I die or it comes
well,
back.
I mean, smart move because then you can still like sit on this idea for as long as you need to, and then come back to the exact same website, right? While I am very sad to see it go because I have loved listening to every episode of this podcast since its inception. But with all that said, I am very happy for you to be taking a break, both as one of your best friends and also as a listener, because you've done such a fantastic job with like helping foster conversations between booksellers and authors, and they've all been a joy to listen to. And I think you've done good work, Nicole.
Thank
You
you.
done good, pig. You done good.
You've done good. Thank you. Yeah, you had asked me briefly before burnout about like booksellers and our culture and stuff like that. And I think
Mhm.
that at the end of the day goes to the other point that I was trying to wrap my head around for so long and I couldn't do it. We don't have to go this hard, but also our work is valuable. And I was somebody who was struggling so much. I knew the value of my own work, but I didn't realize other people could see it until kind of I started talking to people after doing this. And the thank yous I got from authors and booksellers, but also the excitement from listeners, the all kind of came around at the same time that like customers in the store started telling me more like, oh, like the book recommendations you gave like literally reshaped my child's life, or like, oh, I don't know what I would do without you. Like it all hit at the same time.
Mhm.
So I will miss this podcast because I will miss that. But also, I do need to take a break, and I will continue to aggressively support all of the other booksellers who are doing really, really cool
Mhm.
podcasts and other really, really cool things.
And this is a sign for you to thank your favorite bookseller for the hard work that they do.
I thought you were telling that to me for a second and not the viewers, and I was like, but I have so many.
Oh, well, I mean, also you if you want to, but you know, we are getting to like an hour here.
Yeah, and if I started, the end of the episode would just be a fade out on me just like listing name and name and name and name.
I would say that that is a really good outro, to be completely honest.
Well, before I do my outro and start plugging all of the booksellers I love, and we will fade out into the exit music on that, Ash, where can
Oh
people
god.
find you on the internet? Plug yourself first.
You can find me on the internet mostly these days on Instagram over at Hey Ash Poston. You can also kind of find me on TikTok with the same handle, but I mostly just like re-blog or whatever it's called, other people's like tags of me. Oh, also I have a newsletter which you can find on my website at www.ashposton.com and sign up for it because it's fun and quirky, kind of like me. But I promise it's just a little more structured because Nicole usually always edits it.
I do. I catch all her typos. And if you want signed copies of Ashley's books, you can go to the Oblong Books website where we have signed books available of pretty much all of her books, and we'll continue to have signed books available through the next year. So keep an eye out for some upcoming pre-order stuff from her. And before I start listing off all the booksellers I love, you can find me on Instagram at NE Brinkley. You can also find the podcast there, though there won't be that many updates, though we do have some bonus content coming, so like don't unsubscribe from the channel. And you
Yeah,
can
and just in case she comes back in 2 years.
please be around. I will throw spaghetti at the wall again, maybe. And also, like I said in the show notes, there is a link to my newsletter, which is called Misshelved, or you can go to tinyletter.com/misshelved. I do something not dissimilar to what you've just listened to, which is kind of a deep dive on specific topics related to publishing. So I've done deep dives on social media and booksellers and vocational awe and all sorts of other things. You can read the whole archive there. Thank you to Ashley for being with me on both the first episode and this final episode, and probably for a very long time after, because she's not going to get rid of me anytime soon.
It was an honor, Business Pig. It was an honor.
A special thank you, first and foremost, before I start thanking all the booksellers I've ever loved, to our technical editor, Rebecca Spees, who has gotten us through these last 2 seasons, and her work is just impeccable. And let me thank some other booksellers I love, like Kathy Berner, who you heard in the very first episode, who works at Blue Willow Books, Kelly Drahushuk, who works at Spotty Dog, which is one of our other local books, John Michelle, who is the comic book owner of our local bookstore, Mega Brain Comics, Meg Wassmer, who is the owner of Copper Dog Books, which is a sci-fi fantasy specific bookstore. They are fabulous. Pia Ladina, who runs Turning the Page Books and does so much cool work with kids. There is Kelsey April, who's one of my best bookseller friends who runs Savoy Books. There is Mariana Calderon, who used to work at a different bookstore, but now works under Kelsey over at Savoy. There's Rhea Davidson at Harvard Books, who I love so much and will continue to aggressively support at every NEBA conference. There is Raina Nielsen, who does some incredible work down south. There is Abby Rice, who now runs Tiny Title IX bookstore over in, I want to say, Connecticut or Rhode Island. There is Erica Watson and Allie Kirkpatrick. There is Emma Straub over at Books Are Magic. There's Lily Rugo and Catherine Nazaro and Lee Francis and Colleen Regan. And so many other people. Oh my god, I wanna keep going. There's Candace Huber. There's Kalani Kapahua, who, as of right now, has the highest rated Misshelved episode for their conversation with Tay Keller about Korean American representation. There's Lainey Rhodes Reiser. There is my beloved Cassie King. There's Annie Carl and Isis Astaire and Nicole Lintemuth, a fellow Nicole. There's Alyssa Taylor and Rebecca Steves and Patricia Murdoch.